Oke. Ahlis,
Ya Kak.
gimana kalau kita mau buat ini ya, notation tuh ya?
Notation kayak gimana Kak?
Mau buat nulis gitu.
Oh, harus share screen.
Oke. Share screen. Apa itu?
Pasti
Ahlis,
dengan Zoom dari laptop Kakak
gimana
tuh,
kalau kita mau
share
buat
screen.
ya maksudnya kalau pada slide nggak bisa ya? Notation tuh ya?
Bisa. Tergantung Kakak. Bisa
buat
sih waktu itu kan pernah
nulis
coba
gitu.
juga Kak Mahbubi. Oh, harus share screen.
Oke. Share screen.
Yang langsung di
Ahlis,
PPT dengan Zoom dari laptop Kakak
gimana
tuh,
kalau kita mau
share
buat
screen-nya.
ya maksudnya kalau pada slide nggak bisa ya? Harus notation lagi.
Bisa. Tergantung Kakak. Bisa sih waktu itu kan
ini sudah
pernah
live
coba
Mas
juga,
Dalil
Kak
ya?
Mahbubi.
Sudah mulai ya?
Share screen.
Oke. Share screen.
Yang langsung di
Ahlis,
PPT
sudah
dengan
live.
Zoom dari laptop Kakak
Gimana
tuh,
kalau kita mau
share
buat
screen-nya.
ya maksudnya kalau pada slide nggak bisa ya? Harus notation lagi ya?
Bisa. Tergantung Kakak. Bisa sih waktu itu kan
ini sudah
pernah
live
coba
Mas
juga,
Dalil
Kak
ya?
Mahbubi.
Sudah mulai ya?
Share screen.
Oke. Share screen.
Yang langsung di
Ahlis,
PPT
sudah
dengan
live.
Zoom dari laptop Kakak
Gimana
tuh,
kalau kita mau
share
buat
screen-nya.
ya maksudnya kalau pada slide nggak bisa ya? Harus notation lagi ya?
Bisa. Tergantung Kakak. Bisa sih waktu itu kan
ini sudah
pernah
live
coba
Mas
juga,
Dalil
Kak
ya?
Mahbubi.
Ini ya? Sudah mulai ya?
Share screen.
Oke. Share screen.
Yang langsung di
Ahlis,
PPT
sudah
dengan
live.
Zoom dari laptop Kakak
Gimana
tuh,
kalau kita mau
share
buat
screen-nya.
ya maksudnya kalau pada slide nggak bisa ya? Harus notation lagi ya?
Bisa. Tergantung Kakak. Bisa sih waktu itu kan
ini sudah
pernah
live
coba
Mas
juga,
Dalil
Kak
ya?
Mahbubi.
Ini ya? Sudah mulai ya?
Share screen.
Oke. Share screen.
Yang langsung di
Ahlis,
PPT
sudah
dengan
live.
Zoom dari laptop Kakak
Gimana
tuh,
kalau kita mau
share
buat
screen-nya.
ya maksudnya kalau pada slide nggak bisa ya? Harus notation lagi ya?
Bisa.
Tulis the moderator.
Tergantung Kakak.
Saya
Bisa sih waktu itu kan
Ini sudah
pernah
live
coba
Mas
juga,
Dalil
Kak
ya?
Mahbubi.
Ini ya? Sudah
dari
mulai.
awal langsung English aja nggak apa-apa Kak ya?
Share screen.
Yang langsung di
Ahlis, sudah live.
PPT
Sudah
dengan
live.
Zoom dari laptop Kakak
Gimana
tuh,
kalau kita mau
share
buat
screen-nya.
ya maksudnya kalau pada slide nggak bisa ya? Harus notation lagi ya?
Bisa.
Tulis the moderator.
Tergantung Kakak.
Saya
Bisa sih waktu itu kan
Ini sudah
pernah
live
coba
Mas
juga, Kak
Dalil ya?
Mahbubi.
Ini ya?
Ya sudah, mau sekarang kan 2020.
Ini ada recordingnya sudah mulai, Mas Ahlis, Mas Zulfian.
Baik,
Recording.
saya mulai kali Pak ya.
Nah, recording terus mulai. Bisa dimulai insya Allah.
Perlu recording dari laptop nggak? Dari Zoom-nya?
Dari Zoom.
Apakah perlu recording dari laptop nggak? Atau YouTube aja atau Facebook aja?
I think we just follow what we did in the last session.
Okay.
Oh saya. Syukur. Okay. We can start inshallah, Brother Zulfian.
Baik, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Alhamdulillah, To all participants, welcome to our webinar sessions, MES Malaysia, AAOIFI Standard Syariah webinar. Inshallah, tonight or this evening, we will discuss about the Sharia standards again, like we discussed last 2 weeks. Alhamdulillah, last 2 weeks we have discussed briefly about the Sharia standard AAOIFI number 1. We talk about trading in currencies. For this evening, inshallah, Dr. Mahbubi as the presenter and speaker will explain to us about AAOIFI Shari'ah Standard number 2. It's about debit card, charge card, and credit card. Tonight's sessions also we do live streaming from Zoom platform. Also, we got live streaming from YouTube, TV. From Facebook, you can also watch this webinar through MES Malaysia Facebook account. Without any longer mukadimah, please welcome Dr. Muhammad Mahbubi Ali as speaker. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Brother Zulfian. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil mursalin. Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabi ajma'in. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Wa ba'du. Can you see the slide, Zulfian?
Yes, sir, I can see the slide.
Check first. Okay. Masih kelihatan ya, Zulfian?
Masih.
Okay, thank you.
Tolong di full screen.
Is it full screen already?
Already full screen.
Full screen.
Already full screen, Dr. Mahbubi.
Huh?
Already full screen.
Already full screen. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ahlis. Thank you, Brother Zulfian, for a brief introduction. Welcome again to the AAOIFI Shari'ah Standard discussion series. This evening, we will be discussing the second series of the AAOIFI Shari'ah Standard, namely debit card, cash card, and credit card. For the interest of non-Malay speaking participants, allow me to present this discussion in English. However, you can post your question later on during the discussion in Bahasa, or you can also comment directly in Bahasa Indonesia, and we'll provide you with a summary of discussion also in Bahasa. Before we begin, let's start our discussion, our majlis today by reciting Ummul Kitab Al-Fatihah. A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Arrahmanirrahim. Maliki yaumiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim, siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amin. So this is the scope of the standard. So we will be discussing a debit card, cash card, as well as credit card from the Sharia perspective, specifically from the perspective of the AAOIFI Shari'ah Standard. And of course, later on, we will also cross-refer to the fatwa as well as the standard or resolution issued by particularly Dewan Syariah Nasional, National Syariah Council of MUI, Indonesia, as well as the SSC, Bank Negara Malaysia, on Islamic credit card as well as on Islamic charge card. let us begin our discussion with defining the characteristic of a different type of card that we have in Islamic banking. First is on the characteristic of debit card. So there are some characteristic or features of debit card that we have as defined in the AAOIFI Shari'ah standard. You can also refer directly to the what they call to the original Sharia standard that has been shared earlier by our teams from Miss Malaysia and ISEFID, yeah, on the Sharia standard number 2. So the characteristic of debit card comprise of the following. First, the institution issue the card to a customer with available fund in his account. So the card is issued by the institution as payment systems to withdraw fund to reflect the available money owned by the card holder in his account, yeah, like in saving account. The second characteristic is that the card confers the right on its holder, uh, the right to withdraw cash from his account or to pay for goods or services purchased up to limit of the available fund or credit balance on his account. Because the fund is initially owned by the card holder, then this card will allow the card holder to withdraw the cash from any ATMs as long as it does not exceed the available fund, yeah, in his account. Also, the card can be used to purchase goods, commodities, and services up to the available fund, yeah, up to the limit of the available fund in the credit balance or in his account. The third characteristic is that the debit to the customer's account will be immediate. Yeah, the transfer of the fund from his debit card account will be in immediate effect. Yeah, including in terms of the payment. It does not undergo what they call a thorough process like T+1, T+2, T+3, just like what happened in the Islamic credit card. So the card does not provide him with any credit. The next characteristic of debit card is that the customer will not normally pay any charges for using this card. Yeah, when using debit card for payment for purchase of goods and services, normally the card holder does not pay anything except when it is used to withdraw cash from different ATM, different bank. For example, I'm the card holder of the Affin debit card, and then I will withdraw from MAPS or from other ATMs like Maybank, CIMB. Previously, we are charged RM1, but lately in Malaysia, it seems that we are free of charge for any withdrawal, including from a different ATM or different banking institution, or to purchase another currency through another institution different from the institution that has issued the card. The next characteristic is that the issuing institution may charge a fee for issuing the card, or may make no charge for issuing it. It is up to the institution, yeah, at least to compensate for the cost incurred for the printing of the card. And lastly, some institution may charge the party accepting payment by means of the card a commission calculated as a percentage of such payment. Yeah, it all depend on the bank as well as the merchant, yeah, that we are dealing with. The second card that we will be that we are going to discuss is on the charge card. Yeah. So what are the characteristics of the charge card, including the Islamic charge card? In Arabic term, we call bitaqatul i'timan, yeah, wa hasmul ajal. Yeah. So the first characteristic is that it is the card that provide a credit facility up to certain ceiling, yeah, up to a certain limit for a specified period of time, as well as providing a mean of repayment. So it is basically behave like credit card uh, to provide a facility for payment as well as for purchase of goods and services. The card is used to pay for goods and services and to obtain cash. So the card holder of cash card can also withdraw cash from ATM or from any ATMs from different institution. However, the only difference between a cash card and credit card is that this card does not provide a revolving credit facility to the card holder. It does not provide any installment or minimum payment. So the card holder is responsible to make timely payment for the purchase of goods or services by the end of the prescribed credit period. Say, for example, by 8 of every month, then they have to settle all the purchase, all the transaction without any option for revolving, without any option to pay installment, without any option to pay minimum payment. It is unlike credit card. Another characteristic of charge card is if the card holder delay payment of the amount due beyond the period of free credit, so normally an interest charge is imposed on the card holder, yeah, due to uh, late payment, yeah, in the form of penalty or interest, because it does not provide any minimum payment or any installment for that matter. The next characteristic of the charge card is the institution issuing the card does not charge the card holder any commission on purchase, but receive a percentage commission from the party, from the merchant, accepting the card on purchase made by using the card, yeah, in the form of brokerage fee, perhaps marketing fee, on the basis of samsara. Later on we'll discuss on this ruling, on the basis of juala or on other basis ijarah, etc. Next characteristic on the charge card is the institution issuing the card is liable to pay the party accepting the card for the purchase made by the card holder within a specified transaction credit limit. So when the charge card is used by the card holder to purchase goods or services, then institution will provide a guarantee to pay the purchase, yeah, the price from the purchase made by the card holder within the specified transaction credit limit or within the agreed increase limit, if any. And then lastly, on the characteristic of the charge card is that the institution issuing the card has a personal and direct right against the card holder to be reimbursed or to decline the reimbursement for any payment made on his behalf. As for the characteristic of credit card, it is very much similar to a cash card. And in fact, in most of the countries, including Indonesia and Malaysia, I think credit card is much more popular. I did not come across any banking, including Islamic banking institution issuing cash card, simply because the cash card is quite limited in terms of number, because it does not provide any revolving credit facility just like credit card. So the characteristic of credit card is very similar to the charge card, except for for some unique characteristic, including the following. First, this card provides a revolving credit facility within the credit limit offered by the Islamic, by the financial institution, banking institution, as well as the credit period determined by the issuer of the card. And it is also used as a mean of payment, and it can be used also to withdraw cash, yeah, to withdraw cash from ATM. So the holder of a credit card is able to pay for the purchase of goods and services and to withdraw cash within the approved credit limit, just like cash card. When purchasing goods and services, the cardholder is given a free credit period during which the amount due should be paid and no interest is chargeable. So as long as within a certain period, the cardholder can use a free credit up to the available limit, and there is no such interest or extra payment imposed to the credit card holder. However, if the credit card holder fail to settle the installment or the payment within the time period provided by the institution, then they will be imposed certain interest or penalty. Later on, we'll discuss how the Islamic credit card is structured to justify the extra payment due to late payment. The cardholder is also allowed to defer paying the amount due and is charged interest for the duration of the credit. This way, credit card is different from the cash card, where the credit card is embedded with a feature to allow a credit card holder to defer paying the amount due, even only to pay some minimum payment. For example, if the outstanding payment is 1,000 ringgit, for example, the bank will issuing the card will allow you to have an option for minimum payment only like 25 ringgit or 50 ringgit. However, if you defer paying the full installment, then you will be charged interest. In the context of conventional, in the context of Islam, also, of course, you will be imposed a profit rate, meaning that the profit rate will be invoked to the Islamic credit card holder. Lastly, other conditions set in charge card is also applicable to credit card. So the only difference between charge card and credit card is only on the possibility to defer the payment on installment basis or to pay minimum payment by way of revolving credit. Now, let us move to the Syariah ruling of a different card that we have already defined and discussed on their characteristic. Firstly, on the Syariah ruling of debit card, I think the Syariah ruling is very straightforward because it only represents our money put in the specific account that we have, like in the saving account. So the Syariah ruling is that it is permissible for the institution to issue debit card as long as the card holder does not exceed the balance available on his account and no interest charge arise out of the transaction. Because if the card holder can use the money or fund over and above the available amount owned by the card holder in their respective account, and then the bank impose the interest or the extra payment for that purpose, then it will trigger the issue of riba. The issue of riba, because the extra what do you call the extra utilization of fund over and above the available fund will be considered as loan facility, as card. So where any excess over and above the card will be deemed as riba card, yeah, riba due to loan contract as per the Prophet tradition. Kullu qardin jarra naf'an fahuwa wajhun min wujuhir riba. Any loan transaction that attract any benefit to the lender, to the creditor, either in the form of monetary benefit as well as in kind, it will trigger the issue of riba. The next Syariah ruling on the cash card, yeah. So the cash card is also permissible under the Syariah standard of the AAOIFI for the institution to issue this type of card, provide the following condition shurut are observed. The first is that the card holder is not obliged to pay interest in the case of delay in paying the amount due. Yeah. The moment the card holder, in the case of cash card, delay in payment, then if there is no interest imposed, then it is permissible. Then it does not trigger any Sharia issue from Sharia perspective, unless if we structure other type of contract on top of just like providing loan facility, as we'll be discussing when we deliberate later on the Bank Negara perspective on the structure of Islamic credit card. Next on the next condition for the Islamic charge card is that if the institution require the card holder to deposit a sum of money as a security, and this amount is not available for the use of the card holder, yeah, then it must be made clear that the institution will invest the money for the benefit of the card holder on the basis of mudharabah or musyarakah, profit and loss sharing. And all the profit accrued resulting from the deposit amount will be shared between the card holder and the institution issuing the card according to a specified profit sharing ratio or nisbah, okay, if the investment generate profit. Otherwise, if the issuer, if the institution issuing the card prevent the deposit deposited by the card holder, yeah, by the card holder from the investment activities, then it will trigger the issue of riba, because it will attract the loan contract which give benefit to the institution. Again, because the idea of the Sharia standard of the AAOIFI is that the structure and the money provided by the institution is based on a loan contract. So the moment the institution issuing the card require the card holder to deposit some money as a security, for example, and then does not allow any investment to be shared between the issuing of the card as well as the card holder, then impliedly it will attract the benefit to the institution to use the fund or the deposited amount for their own benefit. Yeah. And then lastly, on the Sharia ruling of cash card, the institution must stipulate that the card holder, what is it? That the card holder may not use the card for purposes prohibited by the Sharia, and that the institution has the right to withdraw the card in case such condition is violated. Yeah, so it should put in condition, in provision under the agreement that the fund or the limit available in the cash card as well as debit card later on should only be used for Sharia compliant purpose only, should only be transacted with Sharia compliant counter. That's why in the context of Islamic bank, normally the bank will present to the Sharia committee on the available codes, yeah, on the available merchant code, so that the Sharia committee can advise to the bank which code that should be blocked so that it prevent the credit card holder, the charge card holder, to use for their Sharia non-compliant purposes, such as tobacco, pork, alcohol, gambling, even in some bank perhaps they may want to block cinema code and others. Yeah, this way basically the Sharia committee, the bank will provide a preventive measure so that the credit card holder, the cash card holder will not use for the Sharia non-compliant purposes, because the cash card and credit card are the two cards which are different from debit card, because the money used by the card holder are the institution money. So the institution should ensure that their money are used for Sharia compliant purposes so that it can avoid the issue of committing others, assisting others from committing sins. To avoid i'ana alal ma'siyah based on a very clear verse, wa ta'awanu al birri wat taqwa wa la ta'awanu al ithmi wal udwan. It is different from debit card, for example, even e-money, which allow or which does not what we call block any merchant, any code, any Sharia compliant code, because it is the responsibility of debit card holder or e-money user, for example, because at the end of the day, they use their own money and they are liable for their transaction and for their use of their fund themselves. Okay, this why the Sharia differentiate the treatment on the use of the Sharia non-compliant purpose for both debit card, cash card, and debit card. Perhaps later on we can extend it into e-money. As for the Sharia ruling on credit card, it is not permissible for the institution to issue credit card that provide an interest-bearing revolving credit facility, whereby the cardholder pay interest for being allowed to pay off the debt in installment. So the Sharia standard of the AAOIFI clearly disapprove any use of or any issuance of credit card that what they call that has a feature of interest-bearing revolving credit facility, meaning that if the customer choose for revolving facility for minimum payment or defer the payment, then the customer will impose any penalty, then it will trigger the Sharia issue, namely riba jahiliyah, riba due to late payment charges. Now, what is the ruling of making collaboration or affiliation to a membership of with the international card regulator organization? For example, we have two prominent international card regulatory organization, namely Mastercard as well as Visa. Then the Sharia standard also highlight on this ruling. It is permissible for the institution to join membership of the international card regulatory organization, provided that the institution avoid any activities that contradict with the Sharia that may be prescribed by that organization. So as long as the transaction, the contract, the term and condition between the institution and the Mastercard or the Visa card are Sharia compliant, does not does not involve any term and condition that are in contradictive with the Sharia, then it is permissible from the perspective of the official standard. And lastly, it is also permissible for the institution to pay membership fees, service charges, and other fees to international card regulatory organization, as long as these do not include interest payment, even in indirect way, such as in the case of increasing the service charges to cater for the granted credit. So the interest payment, be it in its form, we call it interest, or in its substance. See, for example, increase the service charge to cater the facility, the credit facility, where the fee is linked to the credit facility, then still, although it is called fee, it is still by substance it is interest. So in Sharia, normally the Sharia scholar will look at more on the substance instead of form, substance over the form, and it is based on the very famous legal maxims, al-ibratu fil aqudi bil ma'ani wal musammayati la bil mabani wal alfat. A consideration in contract is given to the substance and meaning, not to the contract, not to the form and expression. Another ruling related to cash card and credit cards is on the commission to the card issuer payable by the merchant accepting the card. So as to whether it is permissible for the merchant to provide or to give a commission to the institution, yeah, resulting from the usage of the card by the card holder. So it is mentioned here that it is permissible for the institution issuing the card to charge a commission to the party accepting the card, yeah, at a percentage of the purchase price of the item and services purchased using the card. So the institution can charge the merchant when the card holder, the customer, use the institution card to purchase, to make payment, okay, from the transaction. The official standard mentioned that the basis for this permissibility is based on samsara, is based on the brokerage fee, incentive fee, commission fee, yeah, be it in the call of samsara or juala, even ijara in this respect. Another ruling related to credit cards is on the fee charges by the institution to card holder. Earlier, on the ruling of fee or commission charged to the merchant. Now, what is the ruling of charging fee to the card holder? Yeah, by the institution. Then it is mentioned here, it is permissible for the institution issuing the card to charge the card holder a membership fee, renewal fee, or even replacement fees on the basis of ijara, because card is deemed as a service, yeah, or privilege offered by the institution issuing the card to the customer, to the card holder. So as a compensation for the services, for the membership services with privilege that are available embedded in the card, then the institution is entitled basically to charge the card, to charge the card holder a commission fee, renewal fee, and other fees related and linked to the services, not linked to the credit facility, not linked to the amount of fund or limit available. So that's why in Indonesia, in Malaysia, for example, later on we'll see the Islamic credit card for some Islamic bank are structured based on the concept of withdrawal. For example, in Malaysia, Indonesia is a combination of kafala, ijar, and qard, because to justify the privilege, the services, then ijara or withdrawal is introduced, yeah, as an independent from loan facility or qard facility, which is in the form of limit, credit card limit. Purchase of gold, silver, and currency with card. I think this one is also, it was also highlighted in the last discussion when discussing on the constructive possession, yeah, using credit card as a payment mechanism to purchase gold, silver, and other ribawi items. Here mentioned it is permissible to purchase gold, silver, or currency even with debit card or cash card or even credit card in case where the issuing institution is able to settle the amount due to the party accepting the card without any delay, or the delay which is due to business practices, customary business practices, or standard operating procedure which are unavoidable or because due to business disruption, yeah. And it is also approved and permitted by the fatwa of the Majma' Fiqhul Islami, the AAOIFI Fiqh Academy on this respect, because the payment using credit card, the payment using debit card as well as cash card is deemed as a payment, as a constructive possession, as a support payment by way of constructive possession, or we call qabd hukmi, yeah. Qabd hukmi, just like other payment via transfer, via check, via voucher, and other. Now, what is the ruling of cash withdrawal using credit card as well as cash card? It is permissible for the card holder to withdraw an amount of cash within the limit of his available fund or more with the agreement of the institution issuing the card, provided that no interest is charged, yeah, provided that no interest is charged. Otherwise, if we structure based on the concept of sale-based contract like tawaruk and ena, later on we'll discuss on the structure, then we can justify the extra payment due to delay in payment, for example, by way of the application of effective profit rate imposed to the customer. Now, if the credit card holder can withdraw more than the agreement, the institution issuing the card, then of course, as per the earlier ruling, the interest should not be imposed to the card holder. Another ruling, another provision under cash withdrawal using card, it is permissible for the institution issuing the card to charge a flat service fee for cash withdrawal proportionate to the service amount withdrawn. Okay, I think this is quite important. So during the withdrawal of cash, yeah, to ATM via ATM using the card, be it debit card, credit card, as well as cash card, then the bank can impose any fee, yeah, fixed fee, irrespective of any amount. So if you impose withdrawal fee of 50 ringgit, so this 50 ringgit should be applicable for any withdrawal, irrespective of whether the withdrawal is only 100 ringgit or 1,000 ringgit. Why? Because the withdrawal fee is basically a compensation for the service offered from the withdrawal, the use of machine, the use of the technology and others. The moment you impose the withdrawal fee on the basis of the amount withdrawn, okay, the withdrawal amount, then it will trigger the issue of riba, because the fee will be construed as the extra payment over and above the loan facility given. This way we have to be very careful when putting the line, yeah, between the fee which is construed as interest and the fee which is justified from the Sharia point of view. The fee which is justified from Sharia point of view, be it the withdrawal fee, annual fee, membership fee, is the fee which are imposed to the card holder as the compensation for the service and privilege offered to the card holder. However, on the other hand, the fee which is deemed as an interest, although we call it fee or service fee, but if it is linked to the amount of the facility, where the quantum will be volatile, will vary from one limit to another limit, from one withdrawal amount with another withdrawal amount, then essentially this fee is interest. It is riba. As for the privilege granted to card issuing parties to the institution, it is not permissible for the institution to grant the card holder the privilege prohibited by the Sharia, such as the use of credit card for conventional life insurance, or such as the privilege offered by the institution, where the credit card, for example, is embedded with the takaful, with the conventional insurance benefit, with the conventional life insurance, or the holder of the black card, for example, the world card, will allow the card holder to enter into the prohibited places, to the casino, to the what we call perhaps prostitution, or to enter into, or to buy the prohibited gift. However, on the other hand, it is permissible to grant privilege to the card holder. They are not prohibited by the Sharia, such as a priority right to services. See, for example, if you are a heavy traveler, then and you are the holder of world card, normally the credit card holder with certain type of card will give you like the use of facility, the use of free lunch in airport, yeah, or discount on the hotel, airline, restaurant reservation, and the like, as long as the services privilege are Sharia compliant. Now, let us move to the other fatwa in the context of Indonesia. specifically for this Syariah card, Syariah cash card, and Islamic credit card. So in a nutshell, before we move to this, the AAOIFI Shari'ah standard defined the facility offered by the institution, okay, for the limit for the credit in the cash card and credit card is as loan contract, as court contract. That's why any extra payment resulting from this loan facility or linked with loan facility will trigger the issue of riba. So any fees they are imposed to the customer should only be reflective of the services and privilege like withdrawal fees, membership fees, renewal fees, annual fees, even replacement fees. Even in the context of withdrawal fees, the fee should not vary from one amount to another amount. Otherwise, it is deemed as a link or exclusive to the withdrawal amount. It is not just because the service provided. Yeah. So this where basically the Sharia standard of the AAOIFI define the the charge card and credit card. As for the fatwa on Islamic credit card and charge card in Indonesia, so basically in the context of Indonesia, we have two main fatwa, mainly fatwa Dewan Syariah Nasional, National Syariah Council of MUI number 42, 2004 on Islamic charge card, and fatwa number 54, 2006 on Islamic credit card. And under the two fatwa, the fatwa resolve that it is permissible for the institution, for the Islamic bank to issue Islamic cash card or Islamic credit card based on the combination of the Sharia concept of kafala, qard, and ijarah. Yeah, later on we will see the structure. So kafala is basically used by the bank issuing the card to justify the guarantee provided by the institution to guarantee the payment to the merchant in the event where the card holder purchase goods or services. So this is the kafala part. So where the bank is the guarantor and the customer, the card holder, is the guaranteed party. Okay, so any purchase made by the customer, by the card holder, the bank will guarantee the payment on behalf of the card holder. Of course, with reasonable fee. The second contract is qard. Yeah, is qard. The qard is basically invoked in Islamic credit card in the context of Indonesia for the credit facility, the credit limit facility. So any purchase made by the customer, any withdrawal made by the customer, basically the customer borrow the money from the bank, or the bank grant credit facility to the customer. And we have ijarah is basically to justify the fee that is imposed the customer on the service provided, like the service for withdrawal fee, membership fee, rusumiyah, yeah, rusum for rusum, annual fee or renewal fee if any. Yeah. So this way the three concepts are structured together. And in Indonesia we have only two Islamic banks which are actively offering the Sharia compliant credit card, namely BNI Syariah under Hasanah and CIMB Niaga. Last time we do have the Islamic credit card also issued by Danamon, but I don't think now they are still offering this unless some participants have other information on this. So kafala to guarantee the payment resulting from the transaction between the card holder and merchant. Thus, the bank is entitled for kafala fee. Qard is where the customer withdraw cash from the ATMs. Ijarah is the justification for the service provided by the bank. So the ijarah is in the form of membership fee, annual fee, and renewal fee, and also to justify the excess imposed the excess payment imposed by the bank, yeah, in the event of late payment, remember, under credit card, it is embedded with the feature of revolving facility. Then any delay made by the customer should not invoke any penalty. Otherwise, as per the Syariah standard of the AAOIFI, it is interest, it is riba. So the only extra payment that can be justified if the structure is based on the combination of qard and ijarah together with kafala in the context of Indonesia, then we can only impose what we call ta'wid or warama. What is ta'wid? Ta'wid is basically compensation imposed by the bank, by the institution issuing the card due to the delay in payment by the customer to compensate against actual costs, yeah, incurred by the bank. So it is only a reflective of actual cost. In the context of Indonesia, in the context of Malaysia, the actual cost that can be imposed by the bank, it is up to 1% only. Okay, if the countries do not provide any percentage by the regulator, then the bank, by the advice of the Sharia Advisory Board, can basically calculate the actual cost based on the direct cost linked to the recovery process. Yeah, recovery process due to late payment. Even if you want to calculate or include the staff cost, then you should calculate based on an hourly basis. Yeah, so that the cost should be reflective of actual, not only actual but also direct cost. Now, if you want to impose more than actual cost to the customer, then you can also apply waroma. However, if you apply waroma in the form of penalty, which is beyond actual cost, that is justifiable from the Sharia point of view, waroma cannot be recognized as a profit or as an income of the bank. This is the different treatment between ta'wid. Ta'wid, because it is only a reflective of the actual cost, then it can be put under a revenue of the income, under the book of the bank. But waroma, because it exceeds the actual cost, it is as good as penalty in the context of the conventional finance, then it has to be put aside from the revenue of the bank, the income of the bank. It has to be put under charity account, and it is channeled to the charitable bodies or charitable or individual for charity purposes. Yeah, this where the bank can justify extra payment due to delay, yeah, in payment by the card holder, so that it does not trigger the issue of riba if the credit card or debit card is structured based on the concept of the combination of qard and ijarah, or the three combination between kafala, ijarah, and qard as per the Sharia standard of the fatwa of the Indonesian Sharia fatwa. And this more on the dawabit wal hudud, yeah, wal hudud, yeah, not hudud. The parameters and control put forward by the National Sharia Council for the Islamic Credit Card. The card shall not contain any riba activities. It is not used for the Sharia non-compliant transaction. I think it is similar with the provision under the Sharia standard of the AAOIFI. And then I think the additional parameter that is put forward by the fatwa of Indonesia and the Sharia standard of the AAOIFI on this is that it does not encourage any excessive consumption or israf. Yeah, it should not promote israf or tabzir for the card holder. The card holder has the financial capability to fulfill his obligation. Okay, that's why the credit limit that is granted by the institution, by the bank, should be reflective of the credit worthiness of the card holder, of the customer. The bank should not grant any credit facility, any credit limit that is beyond the financial capability or capacity of the customer. And then lastly, under the National Fatwa Council of Indonesia, the institution does not provide facility or services which contravene the Sharia principle. Yeah, it contravene the Sharia principle. As for the resolution of Bank Negara Malaysia under the Sharia Advisory Council on Islamic credit card, at least we have three main resolution. Of course, we have other resolution in regard to what we call providing takaful for credit card, providing rebate, cash rebate, IBRO and others in credit card. But I only focus on the resolution related to the concept, proposed by the financial institution to be offered in the context of Malaysia. The first resolution was issued in 2001, where the banking institution in Malaysia proposed a credit card facility or product structured based on the concept of buy on ENA and wadi'ah. And the resolution said that the proposed credit card product structured based on the concept of buy on ENA and wadi'ah for safekeeping, as well as its use to purchase gold, silver, and other halal good and services is permissible from the Sharia point of view. So initially, most of the Islamic credit card in Malaysia, especially before 2013, was structured based on the concept of buy on ENA, especially the one was issued by Bank Islam Malaysia, together with wadi'ah concept. But lately, most of the banking institution issuing credit card based on the concept of ENA has transformed, has shifted, their concept into tawarruk. We will see later on the structure. The second resolution in 2008, as well as in the same year, also resolve the permissibility of issuing credit card based on the concept of withdrawal, embedded together with code, just like the one that is discussed by the Sharia standard of the AAOIFI as well as the Sharia, the fatwa of the DSN MUI. However, it is required that the withdrawal which is imposed as a consideration for the provision of actual and non-fictitious services. So if the credit card is structured based on the concept of withdrawal, the withdrawal should be a compensation for actual and non-fictitious services, benefit, and privilege that are permissible under the Sharia. Again, just like the official standard, the service should be a reflective of the service privilege which are linked to the what they call to the service offered by the credit issuing the institution issuing the card, not to the credit limit. The last resolution issued on credit card again in the same year, number 2008, on the proposed fiqhi adaptation of ujrah on wakalah in the proposed credit card structure is not accurate. So basically, there was a resolution, a proposal by the financial institution at that time, where the financial institution would like to structure a credit card based on the combination of wakalah with fee. Wakalah and kafalah with fee. However, the fee or ujrah is linked with the amount of facility, of credit facilities. It is linked with the purchase, if the amount of the purchase of the goods and services. So according to the SSC at that time, that the fiqhi adaptation of ujrah on wakalah in the proposed credit card structure is not accurate if it is linked with the credit facility. The method to determine ujrah amount that is based on certain percentage of the credit limit is not in line with the Sharia, because it would trigger the issue of loan which attract the benefit to the lender, to the institution. And it also contradicts the decision of Majlis Sharia advisor at the international level, including the resolution by the AAOIFI. Ujrah on wakalah or other shall be fixed amount without being tied to a credit limit in order to avoid the element of riba. Just like the ujrah for withdrawal fee, for example, it should be fixed and it is not tied with the withdrawal amount as to avoid the element of interest. Okay. These some of the application of the Islamic credit card in selected institution. In Indonesia, for example, we have BNI Syariah under Hasanah Card, Syariah Biniaga, the issue credit card based on the structure of kafala, qad, and ijarah as been discussed earlier, based on the fatwa of DSN MUI number 42 and number 54. In Malaysia, some bank structure and even most of the banks structure Islamic credit card based on the ujrah, of course, with the qad facility. Some bank include M-Bank Islamic, Bank Simpanan Nasional, CIMB Islamic Bank, SSBC Amanah, Maybank Islamic, Public Islamic, and RHB Islamic Bank. Some Islamic bank in Malaysia also use the concept of tawarruk or community murabahah for Islamic credit card structure. That include Afin Islamic Bank, Bank Islam Malaysia, as well as Bank Kerjasama Rakyat Malaysia. And in Brunei, I believe some of the participants are coming from Brunei, even from AMBD, the Authority Monetary Brunei Darussalam, as well as from BIBD. Correct me if I'm wrong, if there are some participants from BIBD. So the BIBD structure Islamic credit card based on the combination of kafala and wakala bil ujrah. Lastly, let us, before we open the what they call the discussion, yeah, for Q&A and comment. Basically, we welcome any comment, even additional point, or even criticism, yeah, because I observe even from the previous session, some participants are coming from high profile background from the regulators, Bank Negara Malaysia, Financial Service Authority, even the Monetary Authority of Brunei Darussalam, and some bankers here, some Sharia scholars, some asatis. So I really welcome all your comment or your additional point so that we can share, yeah, your knowledge here for the what we call benefit of the participant at large. So these basically the application of Islamic credit card based on the concept of ENA, but it was I think now it has been overruled by the concept of tawarruk, and I believe none of the Islamic bank in Malaysia are still offering this concept. So first, here we have customer or credit card holder, and we have bank. Bank sell customer commodity for a deferred payment for a price equivalent to credit limit plus total profit. So the credit limit is basically a part of the price of the commodity. So once the customer has already acquired the commodity, then when the customer has already acquired the commodity and he is indebted to the bank in the form of credit limit plus total profit, then the customer will sell the commodity back to the bank for cash payment, yeah, for the cash payment, which is equivalent to credit limit. So the second contract is basically to justify the credit limit that is available in the customer's credit card account. So the credit card limit based on the second contract, which is paid by the bank on cash basis, will be deposited by the bank to customers' wadi'ah account. So basically, the AINAH structure is combined together with wadi'ah, where the bank will become a custodian to safekeep the fund or the cash, which is the credit limit of the customers, yeah, to be used from time to time, that can be withdrawn from time to time. And the customer will buy the commodity or withdraw money from the wadi'ah account and when required. So when the bank can justify the profit will be justified from the first contract, which is the sale contract on a deferred payment, where the bank has already incurred or we call imposed the profit, the profit rate. So the profit rate normally will be invoked to the customer in the event of delay in payment. So the delay in payment will make the bank will what we call liable to pay the profit, but not the interest, because the profit is basically because the extra payment is basically a profit that has to be paid by the customer resulting from the first transaction. However, due to the strict regulation and resolution on the condition and Sharia requirement of Bayolena in financing and in deposit, including in credit card, then the bank has started to shift their INA-based Islamic credit card to tawarruk. This is how it works. So first, the bank will purchase the commodity from the broker, from the commodity merubah platform. For example, in Malaysia, we have Bursa Suku Sila, we have Sedania, we have AIGA, we have also Syuraka, Al-Amin, and other. Indonesia, basically, we have GFX Syariah, Bursa Commodity, at the value of credit card limit. So at the value of credit card limit. So once the bank has already acquired the commodity, then the bank will sell the commodity to customer at the price comprising of credit card limit plus the profit. So that profit can be used by the bank when the customer delay in payment. So the profit rate will be imposed to the customer in the event of delay, in the event of late payment. But if the customer managed to pay the installment, the payment on time before the due, then the profit will be forfeited. Yeah, the bank basically provide a full rebate on the profit rate that is the entitlement of the bank. So when the client has already acquired the commodity from the contract between the bank and the client, then the client enter into the second transaction with the broker B, where the client sell the commodity at the purchase price equivalent to basically credit card limit on cash basis. And normally the client will appoint the bank to sell the commodity on behalf of the client. So this way, basically, the proceed from the sale of the commodity is the credit card limit that will be put by the bank, yeah, and deposited into the client credit card account to be utilized as his credit card limit from time to time based on the customer's need, yeah, based on the customer's purchase, based on the customer's withdrawal and others. And the bank will manage the facility, yeah, this is the facility. And this is the application of Islamic credit card based on withdrawal. See, for example, based on the one that is applied by the HSBC Amana and other Islamic bank here. So first, the customer apply for credit card Islamic. Upon acceptance, agree to pay stimulate annual fee. So the annual fee is basically is imposed as a compensation, as ujrah, yeah, for the services or privilege offered by the bank to the customer. And the bank will provide the facility to the customer in the form of credit facility up to the credit limit, and it is put under credit card account. This way, basically, the contract of court, yeah, is advanced, yeah, is granted to the customer and put under credit card account. And the customer will buy the commodity or withdraw money or cash from the ATM from credit card Islam account, and when required, and transfer merchant for withdrawal or for payment and for other, and the customer will pay their loan, their cost to the customer at par. Yeah, at par. It does not incur any profit or any interest. So the only profit that the bank is entitled is in the form of services, in the form of annual fees, in the form of membership fees, even replacement fees and other fees. Yeah, they are linked to the privilege and services. Lastly, the application of credit card based on kafalah, qard, and ijara in the context of Indonesia. I think that the last slide before we open for a discussion. So we have bank, cardholder, and merchant as the three main parties in the contract. So where first the cardholder, based on the credit card limit provided by the bank, will purchase goods or services from merchant, and then the bank by virtue of kafil, yeah, kafalah contract, guarantee contract, will guarantee all cardholder obligation to make payment for the purchase made by the cardholder. This way the kafalah take place. And then the bank will claim the cardholder to cardholder within certain times, and the cardholder will pay to the bank together with certain fee. This way the ujrah, yeah, the services, yeah, the ijara is imposed to the bank, be it in the form of membership fee, withdrawal fee, and other fees related to the privilege, to the service provided by the bank to the customer or to the cardholder. So that's all, perhaps some of the overview as the introduction for discussion moving forward on credit card, debit card, cash card as per the AAOIFI Shari'ah standard, and in comparison with other fatwas like the National Fatwa Council of Indonesia, Sharia Advisory Council, as well as the application in selected institutions and countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, and Brunei. And I think and believe next 2 weeks we will be discussing the Sharia standard number 3 on default in payment by a debtor. With that, we opened the floor for Q&A session. If you have any question, please you can unmute your speaker, and then we can discuss accordingly. Otherwise, I will pick up a question from chat room. Any question from chat room, Brother Zulfian, that we can discuss?
I think we can come from the first question from Izzat Samim. This question is, I have a question regarding the money that customer gain from non-Sharia source.
Money, where is it? Reza.
Izzat Samim, right?
Shamim. Izzat Shamim, okay?
I have a question regarding the money that the customer gain from non-Sharia source, for example, wages or bonus from an alcohol company to their worker that using Islamic saving account. Is it possible to occur in reality, and what are the action the Bank Sharia Committee should look? Jazakallah khairan kathir.
I have a question regarding the money that a customer gain from non-Sharia sources. Customer gain says wages, bonus from alcohol company to their workers, that using Islamic saving account. Is it possible to occur in reality? Can Sister Izzat, is it sister or brother? Perhaps if you can post your question directly so that I can clarify the intent of your question. You can also post your question in Indonesian language if you are Indonesian. If you can unmute your speaker for clarity purpose. Nggak tahu apa maksud, Zulfian paham tak maksudnya? Money gain from Sharia non-compliant sources. Apakah yang dimaksud ini adalah uang yang didapatkan misalnya dari berjudi? Is it?
Mungkin lebih
from Sharia non-compliant purposes, and then they want to put it in their Islamic saving account. Is it permissible or not? Betul atau macam tu?
Tetapi di bawahnya beliau ini mengatakan, I'm sorry if the questions are outside from our topic today. I think
it's okay. We just try to discuss. Yeah, we just want to respond just for clarity. So if we can respond it, and then we will respond it. No worries. But if I understand correctly here, the question is that whether it is permissible for the depositors, yeah, to deposit their money coming from Sharia non-compliant purposes. Betul tak? So assume that a depositor have Islamic saving account. Lalu kemudian dia menang judi. He got money from a casino, from Islamic, from Sharia non-compliant purposes, or from Sharia non-compliant activities. Whether the bank can accept the money and put in their Islamic deposit or otherwise. Whether it does not trigger the issue of assisting others to commit sins or crime. Betul tak?
Ya, betul.
Betul macam tu tak, Izzat?
Itu maksudnya, maknanya bank menerima sumber daripada yang bukan syariah compliance. Itu maksud saya.
Ini macam kenal dengan saya ini. Are you in Malaysia?
Malaysia.
Yeah. Where are you working?
I'm currently as a fresh graduate.
Fresh graduate. Okay, thank you. Your question, brother Izzat. So basically, we do have a resolution on this by the SSP Bank Negara Malaysia, and we have also a discussion in Sharia Committee, and in some Islamic bank. Of course, this happen in reality. Contohnya misalnya, for example, if the customer came to the bank to cash in, or to liquid their check, to cash in their check where under their check there is casino punya chop misalnya, stamp. Yeah, whether the bank or Islamic bank can accept the check from Syariah compliant purposes. So to make the long story short, in a nutshell, basically the resolution of SSC allow this kind of practice, because under deposit the bank is not required basically to investigate the sources of customers' fund. But for the financing, we have to ensure that the financing facility will be used for Sharia compliant purposes, because the customer is using the bank's money. But under deposit, it depending on the Sharia non-compliant purposes. So the Sharia scholar, the fuqaha, if you want me to elaborate more, basically classify the non-halal income, malul haram, into 3 types. One is malul haram lidatihi, a Sharia non-compliant income in its essence, in its substance. Jadi barang tidak patuh syariah karena substance-nya. For example, hoax, for example, apa lagi? Bangkai, for example, homer, then the bank cannot accept a Sharia non-compliant asset or income in its substance as the deposit. Contoh, ada orang pergi ke bank, bawa pork, bawa homer, letak dalam safe deposit box. Then it is impermissible. The second category of haram non-halal income is haram likasbihi. Haram likasbihi is basically a non-halal income which is Sharia non-compliant by way of its acquisition. For example, working in conventional institution, what we call, getting check from casino and other, but legally speaking, they are entitled for this. Dia haram karena caranya, tetapi secara legal dia berhak untuk itu. So we have some discussion on this at the level, at the Sharia committee level. Some Sharia committee are in favor to accept this because it is deemed as assisting the depositor, the customer, to commit sin. But from the other hand, if you look at the substance, it is not non-halal income, but to another, it change the ownership, it may change the status of the money. That's why the Sharia committee, even the SSO negara Malaysia, allow accepting deposit from the Sharia non-compliant purposes if the Sharia non-compliant purpose is by way of its acquisition. Yeah, by way of its acquisition, where a person is legally entitled for that matter. Even if you don't, if the bank does not want to accept, it may trigger, it may lead the customer to commit double sin, because they will put their money into conventional banking. Then they will commit 2 sins. One, participate in conventional. So at least we take the lesser sinful, the lesser harm, then the bank is entitled to accept this, due to haram likasbihi. But the last part of the haram is haram liwasbihi. Kasbihi, wasbihi. I think the difficulty when we explained via online, we cannot put into whiteboard. Otherwise, I can easily put in writing so that you differentiate between the two. Likasbihi and liwasbihi. Liwasbihi is basically a money, an income that is sourced from Sharia non-compliant activities, and it is not legally entitled from this. Contoh from usurpation, contoh from corruption, bribery. Okay, this activity does not entitle you to to make the owner, okay, of the fund from legal point of view, apalagi from the Syariah point of view. Then in this case, if the money is coming from haram liwas bihi due to Syariah non-compliant purposes, which is not legally recognized, yeah, which is not recognized from the legal point of view as well as from the Syariah point of view, then the bank should not accept the income of the fund, yeah, should not accept the income, the fund, because it is part of the crime. Contoh dari corruption, bribery, and others. So this way, basically, how the bank and Syariah committee look at the different type of Syariah non-compliant income, brother Izzat. Yeah, I hope that that respond to your question. Is it clear, brother Izzat?
Masya Allah, tabarakallah, jelas.
Jazakallah. Thank you for your
Jazakallah.
question. Very interesting question. Yeah, can we have some PowerPoint for this presentation? Yes, we will share in the group after this. I'm sorry, no worries. Most welcome for your question. Very what you call interesting question. From Khotijah, I believe this coming from the IBD of Brunei. Doctor, I would like to ask on the purchase of gold silver using credit card. You mentioned the issuing institution must settle without delay. Is this referring to T+2 or could it be longer? Because normally issuing institution would only settle when they receive the settlement instruction invoice from the merchant. Okay, as long as the process is done without delay, and the settlement will take place up to T+3 or at T+2, then it is in the term of Syariah standard of the AAOIFI, we call yutafaru. Sister Khadijah, if you attended the last discussion, the last session, we discussed this as why the credit card is deemed as spot because and it is permissible because it is deemed as constructive possession, where the delay is due to customary business practices, is due to business procedure, is not intentional. Yeah, it is just international practices for this kind of delay. But if the delay is intended, then this is a different issue. It may trigger the issue of riba due to an exchange of ribawi item with another ribawi item not on the spot basis. But if the delay is due to international practices, standard operating procedure, or business disruption, then based on the term of the AAOIFI, we call yutafar. It is given relaxation. In the term of SSC, Bank Negara Malaysia, or even the Dewan Syariah Nasional Fatwa of Indonesia, we call it is extended beyond the contract session. So the T+2, Sister Khotijah, is basically, if you want to refer to Indonesian fatwa, it is still deemed as a contract session. Because as long as it is within the process of settlement, it is a contract session. A contract session is not only confined to where each parties do not separate each other, but also the two parties have already separated card, it is still as good as spot transaction, a spot basic or contract session. As to whether it can be more than T+2, there are different views. The National Syariah Council of Indonesia clearly mentioned that it should not exceed T+2. Yeah, it should not exceed T+2. The AAOIFI Syariah standard of number 1 on the trading in currency, as well as the SSC Bank Negara Malaysia, it is permissible to extend beyond the what we call the spot, the contract session, as long as within the what we call the international business practice or requirement, as long as it is within the customary business practices based on the concept of uruf. So as long as it is uruf and the delay is not intended, a design delay, then it is still tolerated, or even it is still deemed as a contract session. Wallahu ta'ala alam bisawab. Is that if someone using Islamic credit card purchase alcoholic drink, is the bank has the power to reject the transaction. Yes, even from the very beginning, Brother Izzat, the Sharia committees, together with the management, the Sharia division, we are the codes that can be blocked. So from the initial, from the very beginning, even before the card is issued, the Sharia non-compliant merchants with certain code has been blocked. So you will not basically what you call do transaction using Islamic credit card for Sharia compliant purposes like alcoholic drink. Unless if you buy it via hotel or restaurant, for example, if they are mixed activities, mixed foods and beverage, where the alcoholic drink is only a small part of the services of the product, then it is beyond the control of the bank. It is beyond the control of the bank. Is the bank can detect the transaction from the beginning? Yes, because there are some coded, yeah, that some code that refer to certain Sharia non-compliant merchant. But I think that the difficulty is that where the Sharia non-compliant merchant, the Sharia non-compliant product, good and services are in the hotel, like alcoholic drink in the hotel or in the restaurant, then it is quite tricky. So in this respect, normally the Sharia committee will give some tolerable level to allow, as long as the core services are Sharia compliant. Doctor, let me ask a question about the cash rebate, which is one of many features I learned from one Sharia credit card, as I know that is issued by one of Islamic Bank in Indonesia. Is it permissible by Sharia law? A rebate, as long as it is part of the hibah, yeah, part of the hibah given by the institution, it is permissible. Let me share with you for your peace of mind, Brother Reza, on the ruling of giving cash rebate as per practice, not only in Indonesia, but also in Malaysia and other jurisdiction, yeah, because this is one of the most attractive features, yeah, offered by the Islamic credit card issuer. On the issue of cashback rebate on credit card annual fee, for example, here the SIC of Bank Negara Malaysia resolution resolved that the Islamic financial institution they offer, if it is based on ujrah-based credit card, just like in the context of Indonesia, is not permitted to offer cashback rebate to the Islamic credit card holder. However, this facility may be offered as hibah to the card holder without any imposition of ujrah. So as long as there is no what they call imposition of ujrah, then it is permissible. So because the proposed cashback provision coupled with the charge could create the element of exchanging cash with cash at different counter value, which is prohibited by the Sharia. Okay, so if there is no such imposition of ujrah, then it is permissible. But if it is combined together with the imposition of ujrah, then it will trigger the issue of riba due to exchanging cash in the form of ujrah with cash in the form of rebate or hibah, because rebate is as good as hibah at different counter value, This is basically the resolution that we have in this respect. Okay, I hope that the question respond to that question, unless you want to ask further on this. Or you want to speak something, Brother Reza? Okay. Kushairi, does kafalah fee imposed in Indonesia mean that the bank would not pay directly or the same day to the merchant until the customer made his payment to the bank? Does kafalah fee imposed in Indonesia mean that the bank will not pay directly the same day to the merchant until the customer made this? No, the bank will pay first to the merchant, okay, within certain days, T+2, T+3, something like that. And then the customer will pay to the bank, will settle to the bank before, for example, the end of the month. So the customer will pay after the bank has already settled with the merchant. If I'm right, Dirham card is the name of credit card issued by the Diamond Bank. Perhaps we have Brother Firman Shah here from CIMB Niaga. Are still here? If you can share with me on the latest development of the Diamond. Yes, please, Brother Firman Shah. Ahlan. Please give some enlightenment to us on your experience.
I think I'm not like in the capacity of talking about the Danamon, but in terms as far as I know in Indonesia, like currently the two develop the issuers of the Islamic art because the one Syariah National all Syariah card instead of the Syariah credit card. So I think currently that's only BNI Syariah and also CIMB Niaga Syariah. And as we discussed before, actually, what is it? Demand of the Syariah card is still high. Then I think the market is quite saturated, especially during this COVID pandemic. So this is one of the big assignment for the industry because we're dealing with a lot of moratorium, payment holiday, and all the things. So, that's become one of the challenging, I guess, for the industry currently because the growth is stagnant for the Sharia card. To be honest, thank you, Dr. Mahbubi. I think that's all from me.
If you can share with me on the current state of Islamic credit card issued by CIMB Niaga, as to whether you are facing the similar growth, slowing growth, just like Danamon. At least you can promote here, basically, brother.
Yeah, actually, what is it? As I think a lot of experts here as well. So I'm just sharing like actually in BNI Syariah and also CMB Niaga Syariah, like the features are almost the same. Even like, if I'm not mistaken, like the demand or the what is it, number of demanding clients. Sorry, the number of existing clients reaching almost 3,100 holders as per 2020. I think it's more than that even, both in BNI Syariah and also the CIMB Niaga Syariah. So I think in Indonesia, the public awareness toward utilizing or toward using Sharia card is great. I mean, like it's getting better year by year. The Islamic financial literacy is getting getting more attention than before. But yes, uh, as you know, talking from my personal opinion, that from the consumer side now, the mortgage or the house financing is still better rather than the Sharia card. But then maybe there are some of kind of stigmatization or stereotyping that Sharia card does not reflect the true value of the Sharia. Uh, I think in this forum, I would like to give some sort of insights that actually, I think that's not true, as Dr. Mahbubi has also mentioned very wisely and very providing great insights that actually the Sharia card or Sharia credit card are processed or are really have to go through a very stringent process of Sharia advisory. So I think this is the very great moment of Dr. Mahbubi uh, making it as a venue for all of us to learn that that's not an artificial Sharia or something like a conventional, actually to be treated with a Sharia term. So, just for a marketing gimmick. No, of course, in Indonesian Islamic bank or Indonesian Sharia banks are the same like uh, Islamic bank in Malaysia. We believe that Dr. Mahbubi is also one of the Sharia committee in the what is it in Malaysia. But also, for instance, if we want to develop new products, we want to we want to launch a new product, we have to get approval from Dewan Pengawas Syariah from Majelis Ulama Indonesia. So I think that's all. I think, Dr. Mahbubi.
Yeah, thank you very much for the enlightenment, Brother Firman Shah. Really appreciate it. So you have to remember that all the product issued by Islamic bank, Islamic insurance, and other Islamic financial institutions, any product, including Islamic credit card, Islamic credit card, has already undergone a detailed deliberation, yeah, a thorough discussion with their respective Sharia advisory board. So the Sharia advisory board or the Sharia committee is the one who is given a mandate and authority, yeah, to ensure that the Sharia compliant from the beginning to end are in place. Okay, from the product structuring, execution, term and condition, as well as some fees involved are all Sharia compliant. So you have to be very, and I think it will give the participants, the card holder, the customer a peace of mind to participate in Islamic financial institution, including in Islamic credit card, because it has been approved by the Sharia committee and it is supervised as well as reviewed from time to time, yeah, on their Sharia compliancy aspect. This the thing that perhaps Brother Firman Shah would like to put emphasis to all of us here, so that you can have a peace of mind, basically to participate in any Islamic banking product, including Islamic credit card, as part of our Islamic teaching, as part of our responsibility as a Muslim, because as a Muslim, our responsibility is not only to fulfill our worship, yeah. Islam is not only in the mosque, in the Menara Gading gitu ya, during Hajj, during Ramadan, but Islam should also be implemented in banking, in capital market, in insurance, in other business transaction. Last session I already discussed even the understanding on Islamic financial transaction is necessary for all Muslims. Even Omar bin Khattab will not allow everyone to enter into a market, to enter into business transaction, unless if they understand the fiqh of the transaction. Let me move to another question from Shafwandi. I have a question about the actual cost that imposed the customer due to the late payment. What is the best practice for the bank as issuer to calculate this actual cost? The best practice in Malaysia, as per the regulation, as per the Bank Negara Malaysia guideline on the guideline on actual cost, is that it is 1%, yeah, 1% per annum, 1% per annum from the outstanding amount. This is the calculation. However, for those, for the countries who are not having this kind of the guideline from the central bank, then they can basically calculate on case-to-case basis or on average basis, on historical basis, based on the advice of their respective Sharia advisory board, to what they call to bring into the table what are the itemized costs which are deemed actual and direct to the recovery process. So normally the actual cost, the item that we include in the actual cost is on the staff salary related to the recovery, the actual costs related to the recovery process, like notification letter, telephone, printing, number of pages that we print for the letter that we issued, stamps. If there is stamp duty, then we also charge the customer, technology that we have to use and incur for that. So we have technology, we have human resources, as well as the direct cost incurred for the recovery process. But in Malaysia, the best practice is very simple, 1%. And it is not only applicable for the credit card, but also applicable for any late payment, what we call due to the customers incurred to the bank, yeah, imposed by the bank to the customer. Okay, any other question? Let me introduce myself from Klaten. Welcome, Klaten. Titi, Mbak Titi, I have question for all speaker. By the way, the only speaker is myself, sister. Syariah in Indonesia not true Syariah. How is in Malaysia? Same or no? Apakah bank syariah itu betul-betul syariah atau tidak? I think last time I wrote a paper in 2013, how syariah is syariah banking, how Islamic is Islamic banking. For me, it's very simple, sister. As a customer, as a follower, we have to have a belief that all the Shariah banking, all the activities, operation, product in Islamic banking, in Islamic insurance, in Islamic capital market are end-to-end Shariah compliant. And it is our obligation as a Muslim, as a follower, to participate in Shariah compliant product. Otherwise, we are sinful. We are responsible and liable before God. Why? Because the Shariah compliant product, they are available in the market, has been approved and supervised by their respective Dewan Pengawas Syariah, as well as the internal Shariah review function, Shariah audit function, to ensure the what you call the Shariah compliant are in place. What you call along the times, yeah. From the process, from the legal documentation, from the execution, even post-implementation. If there is something wrong in the Islamic banking product, in the activities, in their operation, if by substance they are not Sharia compliant, then this is not our liability. This is not our responsibility. This is not our sinful. It is the responsibility of their respective Sharia advisory board. It is the responsibility of their Sharia division. It is the responsibility of their Sharia management and their senior management before God. But if we are not participating with in Islamic banking product, in Islamic financial institution, simply because we believe that the Sharia banking is not Sharia, the Islamic banking product is not Islamic, then we are liable, we are responsible, we are answerable before God. And it is my responsibility to remind you, to advise you, and everyone here, as long as we are Muslim, it is our responsibility and not an option to participate in Islamic banking product. If it is not perfect, yes, I agree it is not perfect. But accusing that it is not Sharia compliant, I think we have to bring it with evidence. We have to bring a fact. Because otherwise, we just accuse that the Sharia committee, the Sharia advisory board, Dewan Pengawas Syariah do not function well, do not discharge their obligation and duties, and it is, I think, very big accusation. Even in Malaysia, if I can share with you, now the Sharia compliant aspect become very crucial part, become very vital and very crucial, and it becomes subject to liability and financial liability. So if the Sharia committee, for example, issue a fatwa which are not in line with the Sharia principle, upon conviction, the Sharia committees even will be liable to pay the financial liability up to 25 million and even imprisonment up to 8 years. Not only the Sharia committee, but also the staff in charge. The management can also be taken into account, can also be responsible for the financial liability and imprisonment. This way, the Sharia should become our main consideration, main concern, main risk, even in Islamic bank. We are concerned with Sharia. Our regulator is concerned with the Sharia. Then we are, as a follower, as a Muslim, we have to support also our concern that we want to ensure that the product offering is Sharia compliant, so that the Muslim can implement and follow their religion in Sharia compliant way. But I agree with you, it is imperfect. There are some room for improvement, but as a follower, we have no choice unless to participate in Sharia compliant product. I have no interest because I'm not a banker. I'm not coming from CIMB like Firman Shah, brother Firman Shah, that can sell their product. But as a Muslim, I have a responsibility for my beloved brothers to advise and watawasaw bil haqqi, watawasaw bis sabr, so that I'm free from liability from before God. How can we use credit card wisely? Yes, I think first you use credit card for the thing that is in real need, for your basic need, not for luxurious consumption. The second one is that use the credit card within your financial capacity, your financial capability. In Malaysia we call ukur baju di badan sendiri. Jadi you know better your level of financial capability. So if your level of financial capability is only 1 million of using credit card per month, then you should not use and exceeding 1 million. Otherwise, you will be in trouble. So use wisely, not for luxurious, rather for basic need and within your financial capability or capacity. And the last one is that use your credit card for the transaction, for the service and good which cannot use cash. Yeah, sometimes it is unavoidable to use credit card for booking hotel, for bookings, ticket of airplane and others. Then use for that method. So credit card should become part of your darurah. So you fulfill your darurah part, not hajiyah, apalagi tahsiniyah. So based on the Makosid perspective, hierarchy of Makosid, then you, if you want to use credit card wisely, you can only use credit card just to fulfill your daruriyah part, as for your protection of life, protection of intellect for your education, protection of health, protection of lineage and others. I think that's all, yeah, for all the questions. Thank you very much for your kind participation, for your passion to join us throughout the session, and I humbly grateful for your interactive discussion, session, and participation. With that, if there is no other question, I would like to close the session and return back the mic to moderator. Any other question or perhaps comment from the floor, from the participant before we end our session? Thank you. Otherwise, in Arabic term we call al-mar'u idza su'ila fasakata fahuwa na'am. A person, if he is asked and silent, then mean that it is in agreement. So I think we agree that we close the session, and we will see you again inshallah in the next 2 weeks, in 2 weeks times, with another interesting session on the Sharia standard number 2. With that, thank you very much for your participation. Let us close our session before I pass to moderator with doa kafaratul majlis. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Rabbana anfa'na bima 'allamtana, rabbi 'allimna alladhi yanfa'una, rabbi faqihna wa faqih ahlana wa qarabatil lana fi dinina. Rabbi faj'al mujtama'na wayatu husnul khitami wa'tina ma qad sa'alna min atayakal jisami. Allahumma ja'al istima'ana hadha istima'an marhuma wa tafarruqana min ba'dihi tafarruqan ma'suma wa la taj'al fina wa la man ma'ana wa la man yatba'una shaqiya wa la matruda wa la mahruma. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa baraka wa sallam walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Thank you. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And over to you, Mas Zulfian.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Mahbubi, for your explanations and presentations related to AAOIFI Shari'ah Standard number 2. Alhamdulillah, we got new insight about to what extent a debit card, charge card, and credit card is permissible based on Sharia law, and what is not permissible based on Sharia. For all participants, thank you very much for your contributions, participation in this webinar. I hope you all guys have new knowledges and more insights related to debit card, charge card, and credit card based on Sharia. Before you leave this webinar or this Zoom platform, I hope you can fill up the form, the Google form that what I have shared to you in the chat room, so that we can recap the attendance for tonight's discussion. Thank you for all participants, and thank you for the speakers tonight. I close with Alhamdulillah bil alamin. Wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Zulfian. Thank you everyone. See you inshallah next 2 weeks. Assalamualaikum.
You Ustaz.
Pertama Bapak Venus dari UMM ya, insya Allah.
Matur suwun Pak Mahbubi.
Sama-sama, semoga ada manfaatnya.
Jazakallah Dr. Mahbubi.
Salam.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Enggak apa-apa, dia mau kasih agak sih. Enggak ada udah Maret. Enggak ada yang Maret, aku udah kasih lebih. Yang artinya siapa tahu kalau telat kan bisa jadi kan. Belum tentu. Memang selama ini selalu Maret. Ya bisa jadi terlambat.
Maksudnya untuk mereka kenapa dibilang apa?
Ya tergantung mereka mau. Kalau misalnya mereka mau udah join sebelum itu, misalnya kan berarti mereka harus reinvest. Kalau enggak kan berarti apakah mereka mau tunggu udah terima itu dulu? Gitu.
Oh yang 2000 tuh nggak usah disebut ya?
Yang mana?
Yang 2000 nggak usah di.
Nggak usah, nggak terlalu.
Oh karena udah naikin 3 kali gaji ya? Yang bonusnya ya?
Bonusnya udah naikin juga. Itu terlalu kecil juga untuk di.
Hah?
Terlalu insignifikan. Itu juga bukan standar lah. Itu kebijakan Swiss Re karena ada beberapa cover yang tidak di